Let's hop into these headlines for this week. Let's jump right into it.
Tonight, the Brevard County Sheriff announced they have arrested a woman after her two dogs attacked one of her neighbors and ended up killing her neighbor. That woman is Linda Cutler, and you see her being escorted to jail earlier today.
Good.
The sheriff said on May 19th, Jody Cohen was walking her dog when her neighbor's two dogs jumped over the fence, attacked Cohen, and dragged her down the street. And this is our first look at those two dogs. Right after the incident, we talked to Cohen's husband, who was heartbroken. He actually ran outside of his house armed with a knife to try and save his wife, but couldn't.
It was brutal. It was the woman I've loved for the last 30 years, 25 years. Just ripped apart.
Neighbors had asked why these dogs were not removed from Cutler's care previously. They said they've called Animal Control Services several times, and even one neighbor reported being bitten by the dog. And here's what the sheriff had to say about that.
Even if a dog has previously bitten someone and it's not a severe bite, the most action our animal enforcement officers are allowed by law to take is the issuance of a citation and a fine.
Okay, so if they can't take any further action, who can? Like, what more do we need to see from these aggressive dogs to determine, like, hey, we need to improve either the authority or power that animal control officers have, or we need to have harsher laws for dog owners harsher laws, and then also like put harder parameters. I know this is not like a gun issue, but the same way there are people who are fighting for harsher gun laws, you know, and stronger parameters to make sure the wrong people don't get guns, we need to do that with these type of aggressive dogs. I've never understood like the lack of urgency when it comes to human life. And that's what I hear when I hear the sheriff saying, well, the most that an animal officer can do if it's not a severe bite is issue a citation. Okay, but if these aggressive breeds, right, without proper ownership and training and control and healthy environments, these aggressive dogs are known to take human life. Why do we need to see more? There's nothing else to see here. If it bit someone before and the community is calling animal control on, like, why don't you just take it? It's like tragedy has to happen for us to respond. I hate that. Like, this is senseless.
To top it all off, the sheriff says Cutler faked a heart attack right before they took her into custody, and then this happened.
I'm guessing they determined she didn't have a heart at all because they released her to our custody.
She didn't have a heart.
And as you can see, I personally met our team at the jail earlier and walked her sorry butt into the jail myself. Hope you enjoyed your time at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not going to be going back.
Okay, what is the purpose of that?
A woman's dead and 2 dogs are about to be euthanized because of your uselessness.
Right. No type of remorse. None. Like, what more does it take for us to see that if a bad owner with aggressive dogs get even one phone call and it could be proven that they don't have proper control of the animal, take it. Like, we don't need, man, I'm telling you, this gets under my skin, like, because this is not something that needs to, like, why did this have to happen to this lady? She should still be alive with her husband. I don't think it mentioned anything about her having children, but she should still be alive. It's senseless. You know, and I think the sheriff got it right by saying, you know, they determined she didn't have a heart. Like, no type of remorse do we see in that moment with him saying, like, yeah, you're not going to be going to the beach. She should be saying, I understand. I'm so sorry this happened. But she too busy trying to push back against what he said about her not being able to go to the beach. I don't like the lack of value that we have for human life. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's a serious sickness. And it's like, you know, and even if you go on like comment section like this, you know, you'll see people saying, it's not the dog's fault. And we get it, but a dog is a dog every day. And an aggressive pit bull, an aggressive King Corso, these are dangerous dogs. It should not be in communities, around children, around people with other pets that that they can harm. They just shouldn't be. If you don't have them properly trained, if you don't have them under control, if there's one call to animal services about their aggressive nature, about biting somebody, whether it's severe or not, it should be taken right away. Because human life is worth that much. And we just got to do better with valuing human life. And that's my frustration with this. It's like seems to be little to no value for human life, man. I would hate to lose someone in my life this way. I mean, you hate to lose someone in general, but just from aggressive dogs where you've called animal control, just senseless, man. Let's move on.
She was having a mastectomy on the table for breast cancer. They wanted me to tell them her diagnosis and to justify her overnight stay. As I was leaving that day, I picked up my phone and I said, I just need someone to know. I got a phone call into the operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them about one of the patients who was having surgery today, who was actually asleep having.
It's so interesting that she's talking about United Healthcare. They're the ones who, United Healthcare lost their CEO. He lost his life, unfortunately, in such a gross way. And now they're back in the headlines for this type of nonsense. You know, these insurance. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about my experience with insurances. It's not just United Healthcare either, but let me let her finish.
Surgery, and I was like, do you understand that she's asleep right now? And she has breast cancer. What happened is the big insurance company sent me a very threatening six-page letter telling me to apologize for speaking out, to remove the post, to say that I had lied, which I had not. And they said I was fomenting violence because there were comments online saying, you know, we hate insurance companies, etc. I called an attorney who agreed to take my case pro bono. He said, Elizabeth.
Good.
Do you want to make this go away? Or would you like to make a difference? And I let the world see how insurance companies treat us when we stand up for patients. And they had stamped.
Listen, y'all, this is a good doctor. I'm going to tell my story in a little bit, but these insurance companies, ooh, boy, they are nasty work.
On the top of that letter, they had stamped confidential. And my attorney said, bull. And by the way, partisanship, like our patients deserve that every 4 years, healthcare is not up for debate. Period. So like there is no sides. This is a right, a human right. It should be an American right. I will sit in a room with anybody who wants to do something for patients and healthcare workers. We are going to change healthcare in America, and that is part of the story. We are going to create the Speak Free Act that protects us when we tell the truth professionally about what is going on in healthcare.
Good. Rightfully so. Let me tell you something. All right, like, there are things that do, need to be said and done, and healthcare has its cost. And I'm sure that's going to have to be something that's figured out. But I'm going to tell you something. There's nasty work going on with these insurance companies. I've experienced it for myself. I'm glad that she stood in the gap for her patient. I'm glad she exposed United Healthcare. I wish more doctors and more practices would expose the nastiness of insurance, because I'm dealing with a situation right now where my insurance, I called my insurance. They told me that certain practices were approved. And when I then followed up to get my reimbursement, they told me it wasn't approved. Not only that, I had the date, the time that I called them. I got it down to the person who I called. They still were trying to deny me. So eventually they told me we're going to essentially we're going to cover it. But what they did was, because I had already met my deductible last year, I was supposed to get reimbursed. Instead, they applied it to this year's deductible to where I hadn't met it. So there was nothing that they'd have to reimburse me. That's not even my only experience. When I had rotator cuff surgery, same thing. I called them and asked them if the machine was covered. They told me yes. I purchased the machine up front because the doctor's office, that's just how they did it. And I'm gonna speak to that too, because doctor's offices can be nasty as well. When I called them back, sent them the information for my reimbursement, they denied me. And I'm telling you, these insurance companies, they're so big, it's hard to get in touch with anybody who can, like, at least that's what they tell you. Like, oh, I can't make that decision, but I can send it in for you. I can write up, what do they call it when you, I can't think of the name that they call it when you are actually refuting the fact that they're denying it. Like, they'll send you a denial letter and you got to go through this long process. It's just, this surgeon is spot on. It's a lot of wickedness, a lot of greed, a lot of threatening going on with these insurance companies. And when you're going through health complications, I've been there. I blew my Achilles and had to have Achilles surgery. I had to have a disc removed from my neck, have an artificial disc in my neck, rotator cuff. So I've had 3 major surgeries. And after all of these surgeries, you still have to go through physical therapy. There's a lot that goes on in this process. But the point I'm making is there's a lot of greed, a lot of nastiness. And when it's time for insurances to do their part, a lot of times they are always trying to figure out verbiage and ways to not have to pay up and pay out. I'll never forget, like I told you about the claims I put in that I was supposed to get reimbursed for. They were telling me I needed to have all these numbers, right? This like the spreadsheet breakdown of the cost. I got it to them. They were telling me, oh, we need the codes. I gave them the codes. I gave them the information, and they still tried to play me. It's just so much greed going on that it's scary. And I don't think anybody should lose their life. What happened to the United Healthcare CEO was wrong. It was wrong. And Luigi has to be punished for that. You don't get to take someone's life because you don't like what happened. A lot of us are being mistreated. A lot of us are being used. A lot of us are suffering the consequences of corporate greed, but you don't get to take someone's life. Now, with that being said, I understand the frustration of humanity when it comes to this stuff because there's so much greed involved, and what they try to do is throw rocks and hide their hands. And it's not just United Healthcare. I've had Aetna, I've had Blue Cross Blue Shield, I've had Cigna. These health insurance companies, it's just a money grab. That's all a lot of it is. And then when you deal with doctors who are greedy, they don't want to do the work to help you get your reimbursement either. So it's like they'll tell you things that, like, hey, it's going to be covered, but we need you to pay up front. Because of my experience, I've gotten to the point to say, well, hey, if you need me to pay up front, then it's not covered. If I have to do something with you all that's not up front, that I have to pay up front, then I'll just find someone else who covers it, tells me my deductible and all of that when I have to do it. But kudos to the surgeon who's fighting for her patients, and how sick it is for United Healthcare to be sending threatening letters, trying to silence her. That's when you know people are also wrong a lot of times. They try to threaten you to be quiet because they don't want to be brought to the front of the classroom and be put to shame the way they should. But I'll close out with this. There's so much going on in the world. So much. And sometimes it just feels hopeless. And because I've been in these some situations, I've been bitten by dogs maybe 3 or 4 times. I have scars on my leg and on my waist from times I was trying to get away from the dog that bit me. 2 dogs that bit me on 2 different occasions. I have scars from it. And I was also bit another time, but I was like a little kid. And I've also dealt with these health insurance companies, and it can feel hopeless. And I've had to take time to just sit and pray and ask God to soften my heart, because this stuff can fill you with rage if you're not careful. And I want to remind you, like, when you're watching this, don't let that rage or frustration sit in your heart. Pray about it. Ask God to help comfort you, help you to take your eyes off of it and put your eyes on the hope that's in Him. Because I've shared this before. The Bible says that we have a sure hope in Jesus, a living hope. Because everything in this world, it can be defiled, it's going to fade, and it perishes, you know. Let me find that verse. It's in one of my favorite. Let me find that verse for you. It's in, is it James? No, it's 1 Peter. Let me find that verse and pull it up, and then and I'll be done. 1 Peter, I'm pretty sure it's 1 Peter 1. This is one of my go-to verses. I'm pretty sure I've shared it on this channel before. Here we go. Let me share my screen. Let me highlight this. And this is what one of the things I do to keep my spirit high and keep that dead weight off of me. But his verse is 3 through 4. I'm gonna read 3 and 4. Praise be to God, the Father. Let me highlight it for you. Come on, there we go. Praise be to God and Father our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope. That's the hope I was telling you all about. Through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Because Jesus is alive, our hope in him is alive. That's why we have a living hope. And it says, and we've been brought into an inheritance that can never perish, it can never spoil, and it can never fade. Those are the three things that I want to say. It doesn't perish, it doesn't spoil, it doesn't fade. And it says this inheritance, this hope, this blessing, this assurance, it's just kept for us in heaven. It says it is kept in heaven for you and I. That's one of my favorite verses. It helps me when I see these things, like these dog owners lacking accountability, remorse for the taking of human life. When I see, excuse me, my throat's getting to dry. When I see health insurance playing these games on innocent people, taking our premiums but not covering the things that they say they should cover. Because I'm human, I get frustrated, but I remember the verse in James that says, the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So when I'm angry, if I flush out that anger inside of me, that's not reflecting Christ. It's not producing the love that Christ wants me to show. It's not producing the gospel through my life. So I have to remember what to look to, who to look to, how to flush that frustration out. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Don't just listen to these headlines and see what's going on in our world and just become angry. No, do something about it. Make sure you wash your heart and your mind with the word. Be reminded of a hope that's in Jesus, and then also share that with others. All right? It's always a lot going on in the world, but I love to make sure we point this back to Jesus. No matter what's going on in our world, we got the hope of Jesus. And that hope in him, that inheritance that we have in heaven that awaits us, it won't spoil, it won't perish, and it won't fade. And that's why we can always know there's hope. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all in next week. But in the meantime, check us out online, www.there'shopebrand.com. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Also, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all in the next one.